Oh yeah.
War Crimes Uwu here for StevensvilleGamers, and today we are going to be discussing the Magic the Gathering banned and restricted update, which has affected several different formats. Um, and we're just going to be going over that, what exactly is in it, um, just what exactly the what cards are getting banned, suspended in different formats, and what's that's going to mean for those formats, why those cards are banned and restricted. And I hope that y'all will join us. Let me check the audio real quick. All right, we will be. So this is going to be going on Stevensville Gamers YouTube channel after we are done. Like the VOD's going to be uploaded there. So I made a little slideshow with each card and the couple important points I wanted to make about each card on this banned and restricted update. So I think we'll just hop right into it, ladies, gentlemen, and other war criminals. Let's go. Alright, so first of all, we have 3 historic suspensions that have become bans. So far, since they've implemented the suspension system, none of these cards have come off of suspension. They've all just ended up getting banned. So it seems like suspensions are just ways to ban cards without people getting as mad because there's like a chance of it coming back for like 2 or 3 months. I don't get it. But Agent of Treachery, which was banned in Historic, they don't want to have to design the format around that card existing when you can maybe make it come in easier or you can blink it. Like it's just not a fun card. Winota Joiner of Forces, which was originally famous for being played with Agent of Treachery, but they realized after they banned Agent of Treachery that it was still too easy to get like Angrath's Marauders off of Winota, so that card's banned. Fires of Invention is similar to Birthing Pod in Modern. It is the kind of card that they just don't want to have to design cards around. They don't want to have to try to print a card later and then realize, oh, in Historic, you're going to be able to cast this with Fires of Invention. Is that okay? They would rather just get rid of Fires of Invention and open up a little bit of that design space, make it easier to print strong cards that could be cast with Fires of Invention. So, not much of a surprise, these historic suspensions are becoming bans, no longer legal in the format. Now, Nexus of Fate has been banned in Historic. This is not suspended, this is just straight up getting banned. And the rationale that they're giving for that is that they just don't picture a possibility of a format where Nexus of Fate is healthy. So they don't think that they'll be wanting to bring it back 3 months down the road, so they're just going ahead and banning it. Because, I mean, they reserve the right to unban it if they ban it, but they just don't want to give people false hope that it's going to come back. It was taking up too large a meta share. They said that the decision was between this and Wilderness Reclamation, which enables it, but they deemed Wilderness Reclamation not to be the problem simply because you can use Wilderness Reclamation to enable some more fun decks, whereas the Nexus of Fate, they said, acts to prevent the opponent from playing at all. So yeah, it's banned rather than restricted because the team does not see an opportunity to safely reintroduce it in the near future, and I think that's perfectly reasonable. So this is gone, and then we got a suspension in Historic. This is the first Historic Anthology card ever to be suspended or banned in Historic. I want y'all to take a guess as to what it is. Card I love in Modern. Burning Tree Emissary. Now this makes me a little bit worried as to whether... Slurms McKinsey says ban Historic next. I couldn't agree more. Put Modern on Arena. And this card really takes away my hope that Modern will eventually get added to Arena, this card being banned, because this card is absolutely healthy in Modern. So Gruul Aggro was the other problem deck with an unhealthy meta share. It was played almost 3 times as much as the number 3 deck in Best of 3. And Burning Tree Emissary is just sort of the card that they singled out for enabling the explosive starts that Gruul Aggro is famous for, infamous for even, in Historic. So the team hopes that the deck will remain viable, just be maybe a little bit more manageable. And they get to keep Embercleave, which is yikes for me because, I don't know, that's the kind of card where if you play around it and they don't have it, you've taken a huge loss, and if you don't play around it and they have it, you've taken a huge loss. Like, it's the kind of card that just warps the whole game around it. So I was hoping that that would be what would go if they wanted to weaken Gruul Aggro, but Burning Tree Emissary is gone. So, that makes it a little awkward for them to eventually bring Modern to Arena, but maybe they'll unban it eventually, or maybe they'll take it off suspend. So Oath of Nissa is unbanned in Pioneer. Now, Pioneer is a fake bad format. There was a wave of green bans near the start of Pioneer because it was just too strong. But this card was one of them. But it was because it enabled some pretty busted cards, specifically Oko Thief of Crowns. But the thing about Oko Thief of Crowns is that it is now banned in Pioneer. So what like the cards that enable it can sort of slowly come off the ban list as long as they don't seem to be broken. And it's being unbanned now to breathe some life back into mono green devotion decks. The update said like these Nykthos based decks need a little bit of a jump, and I largely agree. Yeah, I think the more diversity of a meta you can have in a format, the better. And you know, if that deck was struggling and now it can perform okay and not jump to being broken, I'm all for this unban in Pioneer. Next, we've got a modern ban. Now, I was kind of bummed, mostly because I was hoping for a modern unban. I didn't mind that they banned this, that's fine, but I was hoping that we could get Splinter Twin back. There were whispers / jokes of Birthing Pod coming back. Just something crazy like that would be really awesome. But we got Arcum's Astrolabe banned in modern. Now, this is, of course, a snow artifact for 1 snow mana. 1 snow colorless mana. When Arcum's Astrolabe enters the battlefield, draw a card, and you can pay 1 and tap to add 1 mana of any color. So this was enabling 5-color good stuff decks with its very easy filtering. Quick ban everything but Urza. Yeah, for real. Just ban all the cards that enable Urza. I thought that this was just seeing play in the Urza decks, but apparently on MitGo right now, one of the most popular things to do is a 5-color good stuff deck that revolves around Arcum's Astrolabe. It doesn't have to be sacrificed like the chromatic artifacts, meaning that the mana filtering for the rest of the game after you cycle this card. I mean, you're drawing a card. And they thought that the price of this costing snow mana would balance it out when they released it, but with fetch lands, the price of costing snow mana is virtually non-existent. You just grab a basic land once instead of grabbing a shock land. Maybe if this costed snow mana to filter too, it would be a little bit less broken, but I don't know. Apparently the 5-color good stuff decks were really strong. You know, decks where you were enabled to play like Bloodbraid Elf and Siege Rhino and just like all different cards. And I think that's kind of cool. That sounds like fun. That sounds like Khans of Tarkir Standard, which was one of my favorite standards, although I know I'm very much in the minority there. But this card is banned in Modern. We're not getting any fun toys back. We're not getting Punishing Fire. I wanted Punishing Fire or Splinter Twin to come back. Birthing Pod, I think, yeah, might be a little broken. But, I don't know. Yeah, it makes sense that they cut this out. It's kind of embarrassing how many cards from Modern Horizons they've had to ban from Modern. Kind of goes to show what a mistake it was. But yeah, we've got Arcum's Astrolabe banned in Modern, and I can't say I'm terribly sad about that. I don't know, I wish I'd gotten to play with one of the 5-color good stuff decks before it got banned, but whatever. So next we're moving into Pauper, a format that no one cares about. Expedition Map is banned in Pauper. That's not true, a lot of people like Pauper. I don't like how it adds an extra step to the game, where at the beginning of each game, your opponent asks if they can bum Evolving Wilds off of you for the rest of the tournament. So Expedition Map is 1 mana artifact. Pay 2, tap, and sack Expedition Map to search your library for a land card, reveal it, and put it in your hand, then shuffle your library. So this sees extensive play in Modern Tron, and Pauper Tron. You know, that was what this got banned for, because it can grab any land, not just basic land. So you can play it on turn 1, crack it on turn 2, grab the Tron land you're missing, and then on turn 3 you have natural Tron. You have all 3 Tron lands on turn 3, so you can spend your 7 mana. So they said that Tron changes the gameplay of the Pauper format, forcing other decks to race it, because there's not really an efficient way to answer those threats once they come down. That makes sense. So this ban won't ruin Tron entirely. It'll force them to rely more on crop rotation, which I think is a more fun... It's more different from the Modern deck anyway, so maybe it'll be more fun that way. But crop rotation is 1 green... sacrifice 3 lands, grab 3 lands, put them into play. So you sacrifice basic lands, whatever, and grab all 3 Tron lands. So they chose to ban this to reduce the consistency rather than ban payoff card and weaken the deck's win state. So, like, when you're hitting a deck like Tron, you need to decide, are you going to make it harder to get to that win state, where you've got like a big Eldrazi out, or are you going to make that win state worse? So they chose to get rid of a card that enables players to have access to the Tron lands, to make it a little more inconsistent, rather than banning something like Ulamog's Crusher, like the thing that they're relying on being able to cast to win the game, because then they'd have to just pick some big, crappy artifact creature to try to win with. So, Expedition Map banned in Pauper, this is pretty reasonable. I understand. Tron's a little strong. Mystic Sanctuary banned in Pauper. This card, just a common, like, man. So you can create lock states and endgame loop. Mystic Sanctuary is an island, enters the battlefield tapped unless you control 3 or more other islands. And when it enters the battlefield untapped, you can put an instant or sorcery from your graveyard on top of your library. Blue-based tempo decks were already strong before this card was printed, and they received several bans last year. Gush, one of the counter spells, I forget which one it was in particular, Gataxian Probe. And the effect on Mystic Sanctuary is simply too powerful to give players for free on what essentially amounts to a basic land in Pauper decks that were already monocolor. Now, it would be one thing if this were changing the composition of like blue-black tempo decks, but it largely just pushed those out. So mono blue tempo was the go-to blue tempo deck for Pauper. So in the interest of sort of competitive diversity, Mystic Sanctuary got the axe, which I can't say I blame him. Like, it kind of makes sense. This card was a little bit unfun. So Mystic Sanctuary got banned in Pauper. No more endgame loop with that. The decks that were playing it were only playing a couple of copies, but it was just one of the better cards in the deck. So I completely understand why this card is gone, and I think it's reasonable. It's good for the health of the format. That's fine. So now what I want to talk about, no changes to Standard. So I'm quite surprised by this. They cited it being a healthy metagame. They said the only decks with a meta share that they're keeping an eye on are the blue-green ramp decks, which now employ Growth Spiral. So I'm choosing to see this as a hint that if a card is banned from the blue-green ramp suite, it will be Growth Spiral and not Uro or, I don't know, Cultivate, something like that. Arboreal Grazer, I don't know. Although Growth Spiral does only have, 2.5 months left in the format, so maybe they'll just let it run its course, which is kind of the point of Standard, kind of the reason why they like to avoid Standard bans, because stuff will eventually rotate out. WotC is keeping an eye on the Standard format. My concern is that any good ramp they release in the coming few months is going to make Ugin better. Now, I'm playing the Ugin deck on Arena, and I'm having a lot of fun with it, and it's gotten to the point where I'm pretty much just losing to hard control that always leaves a counterspell open for the Ugin. I'm sometimes losing to that, sometimes not. And Ugin decks that are constructed a little more consistently than mine. I don't even bother making sure that all my ramp cards are exactly right. Like, I'm still playing like Llanowar Visionary. Like, I just put a bunch of ramp cards in there, and I've found that it doesn't even matter unless I'm in the mirror match. And I don't want to play against the mirror match because it's not fun. So I know what I'm doing to all these people, but I'm playing the Ugin deck on Arena, and it seems a little busted, to be honest. So if people are slamming down Ugins, is that a healthy format? Maybe. But if the blue-green, if the Ugin deck doesn't disappear when like Growth Spiral and Arboreal Grazer rotate, then that would be the time to for sure take action. I've never found Embercleave fun. I think it warps games around it, even when you don't have one in your hand. Like, your opponent has to sort of react as though you do, because if they predict wrong, they get blown out. If they block as though you have an Embercleave, then they blocked unfavorably. And if they don't block as though you have an Embercleave and you have an Embercleave, you just get to blow them out. Sometimes you just get to kill them from like 12 life. So it's a really game warping card. I'm gonna have like Embercleave PTSD after it rotates or gets banned. Like, people are gonna swing and have 2 red mana open, and I'm gonna be like, can I do anything about this? I'll be playing around Embercleave even when I don't have to. So I would like to see that get some attention. I don't think Embercleave is a fair card or a fun card. I think Uro is fine, honestly. Hot take. I don't think Uro is that broken. It enables Ugin. They did give us the most powerful 8-mana card possibly ever printed. Well, I guess other than Gristlebrand. But they gave us one of the most powerful 8-mana cards ever printed. Certainly the most powerful 8-mana colorless card ever printed. So, Uro is enabling that, and I think that's where some of the hate is coming from. Because, I guess it was enabling, Hydroid Crisis and stuff before. I don't think Uro is that broken, and I'm especially glad that they put Skoos into Core Set 2021, because I'm getting my Uros Skoosed, and I'm like, yeah, this is fine. This is a healthy format. This is the kind of back and forth that needs to happen in games of Magic. I played a card. He played a card that's just good enough for the main board that answers the card that I played. That's perfectly reasonable. That's a good meta call. I like that Skoos is in Standard. I think it's very healthy, and I think it's really going to do a lot, and has done a lot against me to sort of curb Uro. I also, against Esper Control, I've seen people Fae of Wishes for the Lantern that exiles cards from a graveyard to get rid of Uro, which, yeah, that makes sense. That's good. Uro is the kind of card that has a lot of interesting counterplay that people are really digging into right now. So I don't think Uro deserves a ban. I put it up there because people are talking about it, but I don't think that needs to be the case. So yeah, go ahead down in the comments and let me know what you think changes need to be made to formats. I think my ideal ban and restricted update from here on would be maybe ban Embercleave in Standard, because it has another year and I really don't want to play with it. But the big thing for me would be unban something in Modern. Modern's pretty healthy. I want to see Punishing Fires come back, see if it can't be dealt with. There's so many ways to answer that from the graveyard. I really don't understand why it's still banned. Punishing Fires or Splinter Twin. Bring back that sort of fun combo gameplay. The removal in Modern is good enough. I don't think Fatal Push was out when Twin was banned. So you can Fatal Push their creature in response to them trying to twin it. There's a lot to do with Splinter Twin here. There's a lot of ways to deal with Splinter Twin that we maybe didn't quite have access to before. So I would like to see Splinter Twin come back. I think that would be a fun, healthy thing to do. So Splinter Twin or Punishing Fire. I think we're getting to the point where we can bring back some of these really powerful old cards from the Modern ban list. But let me know what you think in the comments. This video will be posted to StevensvilleGamers. Thank you so much for hosting me. I have been Warcrimes Ooh Woo, co-host of the podcast Gutshot with Aggressive Rhetoric. So if you want to head over to our YouTube channel and listen to some Gutshot, you're welcome to do that. Or we are also on Spotify and Apple Podcasts at Gutshot. So yeah, I just wanted to plug that if you want to go ahead and listen to that. We've got 3 episodes up on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and I believe 2 episodes up on YouTube. So go ahead and listen to that. But yeah, leave in the comments on the YouTube video when this goes up. What do you think deserved to get banned? What do you think didn't deserve it? What do you want to see banned or unbanned in any format? Give us your thoughts. I have been Warcrimes Ooh Woo here for StevensvilleGamers. Thank you for watching, and have a good day.
If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe with notifications turned on. Check out the links in the description. I stream live on Twitch, I have social media, and you can support me on Patreon and buying my merch. And if you enjoyed the content, click on one of the videos on screen right now because I'm sure you'll love it. So, bye!